My name is Clara. I'm 31, oldest daughter, peacemaker, problem solver. In my family, being useful means being silent. If someone breaks it, I fix it. If someone cries, I pay for it. Naomi, my sister, has 4 kids and a halo. If she sneezes, they applaud. If I bleed, they say, "You'll manage." At my wedding, Mom smiled like she was blessing me. Then she said, "We're passing the apartment his parents gave you to your sister." Naomi laughed. "Relax, it's just a place to sleep." Dad added, "She has 4 kids, grow up." The fork stopped. The air froze. Ethan didn't raise his voice. He raised the line. That was the moment something in me finally stood up. If you've ever had to choose peace over guilt, tell me in the comments. I grew up learning that love had invoices, not hugs, obligations. When something broke, Dad sighed and said, "Clara will handle it." When Naomi cried, Mom called me to fix it. When I cried, she said, "You're stronger than this." Strength was never a compliment in our house. It was a job title. We lived 12 days behind every bill, 12 months behind every plan. But somehow Naomi always had new clothes. And Mom called it balance. I was the responsible one, which meant the invisible one. If I said no, it was attitude. If I asked for space, it was disrespect. Every boundary turned into a family meeting. By 16, I was babysitting Naomi's kids. By 18, I was paying Naomi's phone bill. By 22, I was sending money for emergencies. That somehow lasted years. Dad called it family. Mom called it love. I called it exhaustion. They said, "You're never home anyway." That phrase followed me everywhere. Through college, through rent, through birthdays I missed. Because I was too busy fixing theirs. The more I gave, the smaller I felt. And the quieter I became, the more they called it peace. But peace shouldn't feel like disappearing. It shouldn't sound like silence pretending to be love. It wasn't peace. It was maintenance. And I was the one holding the tools. Every family has a role. Mine was repairwoman, not daughter. Adulthood looked like lists that finally ended. Wake early, run, coffee, work, breathe. Discipline kept the old noise outside the door. Or so I told myself. Then I met Ethan. He laughed with his whole face. He asked questions, not favors. He brought granola bars in case you forget yourself. His parents ran a bakery. They argued about flour like surgeons debate instruments. They gave without keeping score. When they offered an apartment as a gift, I felt my ribs loosen. 2 rooms. A tiny balcony for 2 friendly chairs. A door that would lock from the inside. We hadn't signed yet. Monday after the wedding, they said. "Only if you both want it," they added. No strings, no ledger. I told my family at Sunday dinner. Mom smiled like patience wearing perfume. "That's lovely," she said. "And practical. Naomi can use it when you travel." "It's ours," I said gently. "You're never home anyway," she replied. The sentence wore slippers in our house, always soft, always cutting. Naomi started treating it like community property. She texted for the building's visitor pass number. "School pickup's easier if I park there." She asked for keys for emergencies. She posted a Pinterest board. Balcony ideas. Hanging chairs. Herb gardens. She tagged me with hearts. When I reminded her we hadn't signed, she sent laughing emojis. Details, she wrote. "Be a team player." The week before the wedding, she called 12 times. "Can the lease go in my name for taxes?" Her voice made theft sound like teamwork. I said, "No, absolutely not." She sighed like I'd slammed a door. "You're never home anyway," she repeated. Dad texted later, "A good sister helps." I had become a good sister by disappearing. The role had benefits for everyone but me. Ethan noticed the way my shoulders lifted. He touched my arm, quiet and steady. "We can say no," he said. "We can say it without apologizing." I practiced in the mirror. No, not this time. Our home. Our keys. The night before the wedding, I stared at the balcony photo again. 2 chairs almost touching. Space small enough to belong to us. Mom messaged a group thread. "Apartment plan after the ceremony," she wrote. No question mark. Just certainty printed in pixels. My chest tightened like old laces. I set my phone face down. Ethan set a pastry in my hand. "Eat," he said softly. "Tomorrow we choose the door." I slept, then didn't. Morning came dressed like peace and rehearsal timelines. I ironed the dress that didn't wrinkle. I breathed like I was preparing for weather. I planned everything I could control. Seating chart. Cake forks. Exit song. Goodbyes. I forgot I couldn't schedule entitlement. Ceremony done. Photos done. Cinnamon in the air. Kids chasing napkin capes. I almost believed we were safe. Mom approached with her announcement smile. Dad hovered, arms folded like punctuation. Naomi drifted close, already laughing. Bright and calm, Mom said sweetly. We're passing the apartment to Naomi. My brain stalled. Forks paused midair. Ethan's hand tightened around mine. Naomi tossed her hair. Relax, it's just a place to sleep. Dad dropped the hammer. She has 4 kids. Grow up. That sentence lived in our house for years. It walked into holidays, emergencies, everything. Today, it walked down the aisle. The reflex rose like muscle memory. Smile. Make it easy. Say we'll talk later. Fix it quietly. Bleed privately. Ethan moved first. He slid off his ring, precise, not dramatic, set it beside the coffee urn. Before we sign anything, he said calm, we're going to be clear who decides about our home. The room leaned in. Mom's smile didn't blink. Sweetheart, you're new here, she told him. You don't understand how we support each other. I understand, Ethan said. I've watched Clara hand over weekends and paychecks and sleep. I've watched her be erased because she's dependable. Naomi rolled her eyes. Oh my God, it's just a place. Stop making drama. My voice arrived anyway. It's not your place, I said. It's ours. Dad leaned in, low and warning. Careful how you speak to your mother. I breathed through the old choke. I'm speaking to the plan, not the person, I said. Either way, the answer is no. Mom's eyes sharpened. After everything we've done for you? We're not unrolling a ledger today, Ethan said. Today is about boundaries. Naomi laughed, small and knife-edged. So selfish, she said. 4 kids, Clara. I know their names, I said softly. I won't fund your emergencies by default. Mom's voice dropped to sugar-coated steel. You think you'll keep him acting like this? Women who divide families don't last. Ethan didn't look away. She's not dividing anything, he said. She's ending an extraction. Silence spread. I lifted the ring, pressed it into my palm, looked at the faces I've kept calm for years. My home isn't a communal cupboard, I said. My no isn't cruelty. It's adulthood. Dad muttered. Grow up, again. I just did, I answered. Mom recovered fast. We'll sort paperwork Monday, she said. It's best for everyone. For you, Ethan said. Not for us. We returned to our table. A regular couple suddenly. Cake tasted like oxygen. Across the room, my parents held court, calling relatives one by one. Naomi typed furiously, thumbs snapping. None of it changed the sentence in the air. Our home. Our decision. My voice refusing to disappear. I didn't storm out. I didn't shout. Those aren't my moves. I stood inside the choice, felt a lock turning, heard a door closing. That day ended the conversation, not the war. Morning after the wedding, my phone pulsed like an alarm. Missed calls, group chats, demands dressed as love. Dad, family meeting 4 o'clock, don't be late. Naomi. Photo of the kids. If you love us, prove it. At noon, we signed with the notary. 18 minutes. Lemon cleaner. A manila envelope that felt like a future. At 13:58, we parked at my parents' house. Together, Ethan said. Together, I answered. Inside looked like a hearing. Mom on the couch, Dad folded tight. Naomi with a notebook, TV on mute. On the fridge, a fresh list in my handwriting. Clara, call power, fix sink, check Naomi's car. Mom cleared her throat. We'll do this quickly. Give Naomi the apartment for a year. We'll revisit after. You're never home anyway. No, I said. Dad bristled. Don't speak to your mother like that. I'm speaking to the plan, I said. The answer is no, Naomi. Alternative, pay us $100 a month, below market. Aunt tax. The children need stability. I'm their aunt, I said. Not a second income stream. Ethan's voice was gentle. We're not negotiating our home. Mom's smile cracked. You think you'll keep him like this? Women who divide families don't last. Ethan, she isn't dividing, she's ending an extraction. Dad, if your sister ends up stranded, that's on you. She won't, I said. She has you, she has choices. Naomi's eyes glossed. You don't understand how hard it is. I do, I said. I've been underwriting hard. Silence settled like dust. Mom stood. If you leave now, you're not family. If that's the rule you need, I said. Okay. I love you. We're going home. We walked out with the envelope. Outside air felt undecorated and honest. At our building, the stairwell echoed. 2 rooms, a tiny balcony. A future on laminate floors. I set the keys on the counter, then put them in a drawer. Practice for not leaving them out. Days after were noise disguised as concern. Texts about blood pressure and crying children. Posts about people who only show up for photos. I answered once. I love you. Not discussing our apartment. Saturday. A knock with the family rhythm. Too quick. Too certain. Clara, Mom called. Open up. Naomi. The kids have to pee. We didn't move. We texted. Please don't come without asking. We're not home. A lie and a boundary. I stood still and didn't apologize. Ethan made pancakes. We ate slowly. The phone vibrated face down. Inside our door, we pinned a note. Do we want this? A ritual before every yes. I exhaled and heard the room. Not applause, not sirens. Just a Tuesday arriving. The breaking point wasn't a slam, it was a click. 2 weeks later, the phone was mostly quiet. Not gone, quieter. Guilt messages still arrived like weather. I learned not to stand outside. We built a routine that didn't ask for apologies. Coffee at 6:15, run if it wasn't raining. Eggs if it was. We argued about the squeaky faucet, then laughed. We oversalted pasta, then ate all of it. We named the balcony plant Maybe. Maybe it lives. Maybe it doesn't. On the inside of our door, the note remained. Do we want this? A pause big enough to breathe through. Sundays, I called my nieces. 20 minutes. If they didn't answer, I tried next week. Love wasn't a chase anymore. At the grocery store, I saw Mom. Smaller than I remembered. Hands on the cart like it might float away. Are you happy? She asked, careful. Not mean, just tired. I'm honest, I said. You're not the girl I raised, she whispered. I know, I said. I finally grew up. We stood in the hum of refrigerators. No courtroom, no choir. Just two women learning a new language. I don't want revenge. I want closure. I want love that isn't a bill. I want a home that isn't a debt. Back at the apartment, the lock clicked. The sound was ordinary and holy. Ethan set down a bag of oranges. He kissed my forehead like punctuation. The room smelled like quiet and citrus. I put 2 chairs on the balcony. I didn't leave a spare key just in case. I finally believed the door was allowed to close. If your family ever called boundaries betrayal, you're not alone here. Tell me how you chose peace, so someone else finds theirs. It wasn't revenge. It was a Tuesday where no one owns me.